Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our time together. I'm Lori Lamantia, and I'm here with Tricia Fiske.
Morning.
Good morning. And today we're talking about creating money. We've been talking about May is Money May, and we're kind of into June now, but that's okay. Everybody loves talking about money, especially me. And I know that I'm sure if you're tuning in, you're excited to talk and feel into that also. And last week we talked about you as a power creator, that one of your great endowments is the capability to create and awakening to that creative capability. And what better time than to talk about the power that you have to create everything and anything. In fact, nothing's too good to be true. And so why not focus some time on creating money today? So that's what we're going to do. And I think you're going to be surprised at what you hear. I don't think you're going to hear us talk about, start a Roth IRA, which of course you should, and put money aside, which of course is a great idea. We're going to talk energetically about creating money because everything starts as an energy. Nothing comes into this 3D physical world without our energetic desire, hopes, dreams, energy, thoughts, words, actions. And so starting with understanding your power to create money means your power to create and use your energy mindfully. Trish, how would you want to introduce this?
Well, I agree with you that might not be what they expect. Um, and again, it's because we're going to bring in the element of discipline. It isn't just fantasize about it, but there's an actual, again, a process for it, and involves you being engaged, interacting with it, participating in it, not just having a fantasy of something and putting it on a shelf and waiting for it to show up, or that's blaming somebody because it's not showing up right away like you wanted to. There's a self there's a commitment to it that requires, and I will say discipline, because it does mean you have to stay on top of it and keep coming back to it. And then, as we discussed, and then you surrender the results, which for most of us is really hard to do. I'm going to do this work and then just count on something happening.
Right. Say
So
more
it is,
about that
yeah.
discipline, because I think you start dig a little deeper on that. What you mean by discipline? Because I have an idea, but I want you to speak about the discipline you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, the discipline I'm talking about means, if I want to consciously create something, it requires my energy and my focus and my time.
Mhm.
And I'm willing to offer those things at the same time, not knowing exactly how it's going to look. And that requires discipline too. The discipline of trust and surrender is, as we've said before, that doesn't just happen either. So some of the discipline is being willing to take the steps I know to take, even though I don't know exactly how it's going to come back
Right,
reflecting itself to me.
right.
And
Well said. Yes.
yeah, that takes faith. Yeah.
Right. It's interesting as a power creator, and we talked about the tools of creating last week, but the discipline of thinking abundance and, being excited about money instead of scared of money. And that's why we even talked in the past about, transmuting some of those old money beliefs, because in this energy system that we're talking about, and money is just energy, really. And it's even more just energy now that we've gotten rid of the physical, tangible dollars and things. I mean, we are truly talking about bits and bytes and flying around that we can't see. So the energy behind money is a medium of transaction, but the discipline is focusing on it in a excited and loving way, feeling attracting it by knowing it's available to you in many different ways. I mean, talking about it, having the discipline to talk about it in a way that is enlivening and inspiring, and knowing that it's flowing and it can easily flow through you to you. I do think you're absolutely right. The discipline of catching our negative thought and going, wait a second, I'm not going to go there. And in fact, putting ourselves in the perspective of richness. I mean, I was listening to one of my teachers, and they were talking about they were going to buy this piece of property, and everybody was like, oh, that's so expensive, so expensive. And the teacher was like, well, if you're clipping coupons, of course it's expensive. But if you're in a different place where you're aligned with the abundance of unlimitedness, it's not that much. It's in fact, nothing on earth is too expensive if that's the desire of your heart. Now, of course, like you're saying, surrender, and by the way, I need it by Tuesday, uh, but I've watched over the course of my life how things unfold, and there is a certain amount of timing that happens. There's a certain amount of when, it's almost like that it happens when it needs to happen based on how you're aligned. And so again, back to the discipline of being a creator, which is aligning with abundance and choosing to be in your heart and mind in that abundance place. But how it shows up, surrendering and letting that come in the most gracious way that it will, of course. So I think I'm surprised that discipline ended up becoming the topic as a part of creating money. And I hope people are starting feeling the energy combination, because it's an interesting, weird combination, right? I'm focusing on the abundance and gracious, feeling loving and joyous and playful in my heart. And that is a discipline to continue to go there each time, go there constantly.
Well, it's like a 40-day practice of a particular meditation or mantra or yoga nidra or whatever. It's the time spent doing it is really lovely, but the discipline that has to come in is that you actually do it.
You show
That
up.
it's
Yeah.
right. You show up. It's not just a thought of, oh, wouldn't that be a great thing to do? But you actually do it. And then in my experience, when doing a practice for 40 days, is you start to see your resistance come up. And the resistance, speaking personally, is the surrender part.
Right.
It's
It's
that,
not possible,
or did I even go into a 40-day practice expecting a particular outcome?
right.
And the having to surrender that opens it up to a bigger, much more abundant result. But I don't know that in my head. I think I know what the most abundant, wonderful, prosperous result is, but I don't. I don't
Right.
because I'm going on the path.
I love that. And you're absolutely right. One of the things I did about 10 years ago was I did one of those 40-day abundance practices. And it's so powerful. And now I'm thinking maybe we should encourage everyone. And I'm almost thinking we should maybe even consider doing one where and every week we chart what we've found. And maybe not next week, but the following week we should start it, because I think you're absolutely right. 40 days of showing up every day and, loving, being abundant and loving money. And, I remember when I was doing my Making Peace with Money podcast, the hardest one was I love money and money loves me. And just even showing up every day for 40 days and saying, I love money and I let money love me is, you're going to see all kinds of goofy stuff fly up when you do that. It's
Right. And
fascinating.
right, because it's all buried in here, and you don't sit and think about it, but it comes up as you open yourself up for you to let go of. But you'd let go of it if you knew it was there, but you don't know it's there.
Right,
That's why,
exactly. Right,
right. So that's why the discipline part comes in to being open to something new happening. And it sounds so easy and so, well, of course I am, but we're not. We're
right.
not.
Right. It's almost like going on a diet, right? I really want to lose 10 pounds, but all of a sudden I'm looking at an Oreo and it's like, yeah, I'd rather Oreo. I mean,
Right.
even though
Right.
I hate to say it, but creating money or whatever, like being a power creator, no matter if it's losing weight or whatever, they're very parallel paths. I'm choosing not to have that negative thought about money, or I'm going to say, hey, I'm dearly loved anyway. And and not grab for the cookie or not grab for the negative thought that puts us back in victimhood. I hope that makes sense. I mean, I'm running a
Right.
few different storylines at the same time here, but it's very similar. And I don't think when people think of them being a creator, no matter what it is, there is a certain aspect of showing up consistently and
Hmm.
catching yourself when you come up with excuses. Because the first thing every one of us has, myself included, is I can come up with 50 excuses why my bank account is the way it is, or I haven't lost the 10 pounds. And it really comes down to, like you said to me once, you got to monitor everything you put in your mouth. You just do. We got to pay attention to the things we say, to the things we speak, to the way we feel. That's the creative discipline we're talking about here. And money happens to be an excellent practice.
Right. Right. Because it as what kind of abundance and prosperity showing up in your life would be bad
Right,
or
right,
not good.
right. But everybody wants money, and you'd assume everybody wants to lose weight. Ozempic, not. I mean, the idea of create being attentive to how you're creating and the creative tools, we've talked about them,
Mhm.
what you speak, what you think, what you do, how you feel. If you feel bad about money, it's going to be, you can almost map that, your money's going to elude you in some way. Um, and you'd think the opposite, right? Law of attraction. I feel bad about money. Oh, come on, it would come to us. But for some reason, it doesn't work that way.
Right. Right.
So in this thought about creating money, and there's some real things I think people can do, and we'll talk about those as we get into this 40-day. I think we're going to really do that.
Yep.
Um, things you can actively do every day that puts you in the aligned place of feeling good about money and feeling abundant and feeling joyous. That's really the only discipline, is catching yourself when you feel exhausted or down about it and switching over. But, well, that's not the only discipline, but it's a big part of it. It's shifting your
No,
energy.
right. But there needs to be a commitment of each day I will specifically, so what I like to do is I've got my room, my meditation room, I've got my chair. I go and I light a candle. And maybe it's only 5 minutes, or maybe it's 30 minutes, or maybe it's 45 minutes, but I have a special place even that I sit, which speaks of this is my time that I'm doing this.
It
So
isn't
it's
in that
right.
commitment.
Yeah.
It shows you showing up for you. And we are
Yes.
paying, it's not just for you think, oh, I'm showing this. Look at God, I'm doing it. Look at me, I'm being a good guy, good. It's not really that. It's about you saying, this is important to me, and I'm showing up for me because I want to know. If there is
And
some
it
place I'm blocking, I want to know.
right. And if you have a designated space, the minute you go to that space, you're
Right.
you're there.
You're
You're
there.
there. You're
Yeah.
in that space of abundance and creating. Right.
Right. And grace. So
Yes.
I guess that's one homework assignment from today is if you don't have one of those spaces, make one. And it could be really simple as a little table or a little, just even a stone that you put next to a flower. It doesn't matter as long as it's a
Right.
symbolic to you.
Right. It could be on your back porch. It could be in your car. If you if you drive a long way back and forth to work each day, it could be in your car. But have something there that symbolizes an intention, that you have an intention. And
Right.
that intention is creating money and allowing any darkness around that, any beliefs that you have that say you can't, you won't, you shouldn't, allowing those things to come up so you can just drive off without them. Right.
Right. Right. And so you can realign to the abundance that is naturally yours and always flowing. Before we started talking, we were talking, you're like, some days it's on and some days it's off. And I'm like, really? And we've talked about this before. We're on and off with our thoughts and
Right.
energy. It's always whoosh, like torrential. In fact, some people would think it's a drip, drip. It's not. It's Niagara Falls kind of abundance pouring. It's just we're like, what? And it's
Right.
historic. It's all historic. It's not the way we were ever intended to be as humans, but somehow is where we've confined ourselves to be. And if we confine ourselves there, we can unconfine ourselves there. We can free ourselves. Then again, a little bit of discipline goes a long way towards that. A little bit of reorienting our thoughts, catching and reorienting how we speak, how we feel, and looking for joy. Especially because it's beautiful out, the green and the colors and everything. This is a great time of year, in my opinion, to create money because it's easy. Abundance is everywhere, including all these damn
Right.
locusts. Oh my God. Right? Woohoo, there's
Oh,
a
the
billion
cicadas.
million,
Yeah.
right? So,
The cicadas. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so interestingly enough, what we're talking about here with creating is being mindful of your energy, especially when it comes to a specific topic. And the topic we're talking about is money.
Right. And I've got a couple of quotes here that I'd like to share. One is from Conversations with God, the book Conversations with God. Life is not an act of discovery, life is an act of creation. And then from Pandit Rajmani Tiganaya, don't meditate on your desire, meditate as your desire. And
I
that's a
think
really
that one is
important
so important. I
distinction.
think that's a really good one to talk a little bit about here. And of course, the conversations with God one. But I think a lot of us forget that because we are an energy system, when we're creating, we're trying to create something that's outside of us. And that Pajmanit quote, as the abundance we seek, as the grace we are. Um, it's such a simple word, but it changes the whole outcome.
Right. The energy feel of it is totally different.
Yes.
Just the feeling sense of it is totally different.
Say it again. Read it again, please.
Mm-hmm. Don't meditate on your desire, meditate as your desire.
Yes. On
Right.
means it's out there and I'm trying to bring it to me. As it is that
It's there.
energy experience. Yes, I'm in the
Right.
middle of it. And
Right.
and I think that's one of the reasons why people, if you want a new car, go drive it. Don't meditate on the car, be the driver of the car. You're, already in a realized state. It's already happened. And because everything's in parallel realities, they are. You're just really jumping realities. I remember somebody said, God doesn't change circumstances. we just jump realities into the new circumstance, into the new situation, which I think is brilliant. It's like, I'm not going to switch, I'm not going to fix that. I'm going to become the new thing, as it, not on it. Of course, these are very complicated. I don't want to say complicated. What's the right word?
Just
Out there.
complex.
Yeah, out there kind of
Complex.
ideas, but I expect nothing less of the creative source. To have
Right.
it be really mind-blowing, but yet so simple. And I think mind-blowing is I am it already. I am the richness already. So as a creator, energetically realigning and tweaking into that space that is abundant and rich and joyous. And that's the 40-day practice, is showing up for it and and aligning to it every day.
Right. Right. And like I said, it could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 40 minutes. It's really up to you.
And it
It's
might
really
change
up
day
to
to day.
you.
Yeah, like
What,
some days
right.
you could squeeze in 5, but some days where there's nothing going on. Yeah.
Right. Just sit in it, soak in it, soak it
Mhm.
up.
So what I'm feeling is this week we'll, let everyone play with the idea of creating money, but, getting comfortable with the idea of the discipline around shifting into that. Next week, we're going to talk about allowing, which is a feeling of that surrendering. But,
Mm-hmm.
we're creating, but we're surrendering and allowing at the same time, which is, again, a beautiful thing that happens when you are in a meditative or marinating state. And then the following week, we'll kick into the 40-day practice and
Absolutely.
see
Yep.
how it goes. I'm really, this will be fun. I haven't done this in a while. I am really fascinated to see what flows. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
okay, everyone, have a wonderful
All
week
right.
and allow yourself to realize that you are a power creator. And the discipline of that is saying, this is what I want, and then saying, it's happening, and
It's
keep alive.
right. It's here. It's
It's
not just,
done.
it's here. It's done. Right.
Be it. Be the change. Oh, sorry, I'm going to do this. Gandhi said, be the change you seek, right? Be the
Right.
abundance you seek. Don't hope for abundance. Be it as it. Wow. This is going to be fun. Looking forward to
Yep.
it. Love you guys.
All
Have a great
right.
week. Namaste.
Namaste.